Most men don't struggle with women, they struggle with who they've become. Attraction isn't luck, it's how you show up. Your habits, your mindset, your standards. When those change, everything changes. This isn't about tricks or lines. It's about becoming the man women naturally want. Love can't wait. The time to change is now. Become the best man any woman wants. Available now on Amazon. Get your copy today.
Yo! It's official. Like a referee with a whistle. So like and share this episode. Happy Father's Day to all the men out here that's taking care of their business, doing all that good stuff. You know, a lot of people probably spending time with their fathers, probably out and about, probably at a bar and grill, spending time with the loved ones, doing all that good stuff. And that's what I would do if my parents were living, if my father was living, I'd be doing the same thing. But my father passed away 10 years ago. So, hey man, it's tough when your loved one passed away, but enjoy the time while they're here. You know what I'm saying? Because when they're gone, they're gone. And we don't get no do-overs when it comes to living this thing we call life. So just enjoy it. Now, I know some of us probably got some special parents. Maybe maybe your father might be special. You might say, well, my dad ain't like everybody else dad. You know what I'm saying? Or my father ain't like everybody else father. I get that. But, sometimes you have to, when you get older and you talk to your parents, your mother, your father, sometimes you got to have a little grace. Because sometimes they might have been going through shit. And as a kid, you might didn't understand that. You might didn't understand why they weren't around. But all you knew that they wasn't around as much as you probably wanted them to be. And I get that. I can understand that. But as you get older, and once you get to know your parents, your father, and you understood, maybe he had a little drug habit. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. Like I give you an example. If someone says their parent was a Rolling Stone, that means, he or she had a little drug habit, and, they were running through people. That's all it means. You know what I'm saying? And they might have had 10, 20 kids or some shit like that. That means your parent had a drug habit. Maybe he was functional, but he had a drug habit and he was running through them streets with women. That's all it means when they say your pops were Rolling Stone. Because if you got to think about it like this. No man or woman in their right mind can run through hundreds and thousands of people being sober. That's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you meet a guy and he got 20, 30 kids, there's got to be some drug activity going on. It ain't no way this man can be sober or this woman can be sober and they done had 20, 30 kids. It ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? It happened. It happened to a lot of parents. Might have happened to your parents. All I'm saying is just have some grace. That's all I'm saying, man. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand what they went through and where they came from, and maybe they didn't have the best parents growing up. Maybe grandma was special. Maybe grandpa was special. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they didn't have the best cards growing up in life. You know what I'm saying? Dealt to them. So And the bad news is we don't get to pick our parents. That's the bad news. We don't get to pick our parents. We have to be grateful that we made it out. We came out through our mother's womb with the help of our dad's sperm. And we have to be grateful for that. And we have to make the best time and use and take responsibility for our own lives. Because your parents is not going to do it. No one is ever going to care about your life as much as you. And that's just the reality at the end of the day. But anyways, so with that being said, smash, like the video. And today, man, I'm going to talk about the, something that I kind of changed my mind on over the past couple years. When it comes to these the balloon shows, speed dating shows, I kind of had a change of heart when it comes to this, because if you were to ask me 10 years ago, 20 years, well, I'm gonna say 10, 15 years ago, if you would have asked me, is it a good idea to get on the Pop the Balloon show, I would have said this is a total waste of time. But today, I kind of changed that. Yeah, I changed my way of thinking on that. Even a matchmaker, if you would ask me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it's a good idea to have a matchmaker, I would have said it's a total waste of time. But today, sometimes it might be a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it might be a good idea. Somebody sent me a link probably like a month ago of this rapper named CJ Too Cold. And he has a Pop the Balloon show. And I looked at the video and I was like, okay, this is kind of some dope shit. I like it. I see what the young brother is doing. He's a rapper. He got his music as well. And then he kind of found another lane, where he has a Pop the Balloon show and he bring men and women on and he try to match them up on the show. And it's fun and entertaining and all that good stuff, right? Now, I also once I watched his show, I saw that these other Pop the Balloon shows were popping up in my feed as well, right? But a lot of them is trash. I'm going to just be honest. You know what I'm saying? So it seems like there's a lot of people online with Pop the Balloon or Find Love show. It seems like it's quite a few people online that's doing it, and all across the country. Seems like. I'm gonna say most of them are not organized well that I've seen, and I would say Too Cold or CJ Too Cold he got the best show I've seen online. Because it's very organized. They got a good DJ, 25K. And they got a good group of men and women that seem to want to come on there. Because this is a crew of people that I think they drive cross country with a crew of people to set up. This is like a production that Tuco has. This is not like him being on tour as a rapper and he going and doing a show, and after he done with his show, he jump off and you know, he's gone to the next town or probably go home. No. I don't think a lot of people understand when you see these people doing these shows where when on set, there's at least behind the scenes, there's at least, man, I've seen it go from 7 to 10 people. Well, no, sometimes 7 to 15 people behind the scenes. You know, you got like probably 3, 4 cameramen with cameras moving around. Then you got cameras already on, you know, in a position already. And you got the DJ. And then you got you got to have security, you know, at least 2. And now if you go to some of these rough cities, you might have to have 3 security, 1 at the door and 2 inside, you know. And then you might have, and then you need like a person that's in charge of the set itself, you know, like a manager, you know. And then you need someone that's under the manager to make sure everything is going well. And then you need like a kind of like somebody that's in charge of the whole thing. The person that's putting the money behind, basically, the producer. So that's, in most cases, that's over 10 people when it comes to doing these types of shows. And it's not easy. And it's not easy to be a host. Because sometimes, depending on what city you're in, you know, the mentality is different from state to state, city to city. So as a host, you have to be good with people. And sometimes shit could easily go left, you know, because, you know, people say shit and people respond different to certain type of shit that men and women might say to each other. And as a host, you kind of have to feel the vibe. You know, if things start to go left, you're gonna have to kind of change the energy, you know, like on the fly. You know what I'm saying? So this is a whole big production that CJ Too Cold got going on, man. And I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a good show that he got going on. You know, I don't necessarily know how he got started, but so far, he's the best pop the balloon show that's online. Best thing smoking. You know what I'm saying? And I would say if he comes to your town, I mean, I don't know his. I don't think he's on tour now. Doesn't seem. If they are on tour, they haven't uploaded anything in a while. But if he was to come to your town on the Pop the Balloon show, I think you as a single guy should go on the show if you can. You know, I don't know how they apply. I think they usually apply by phone number or something like that. You know, but I think it's a good idea. You know what I'm saying? So now, like I said, 10, 15 years ago, I would have said it's totally a waste of time being on any Pop the Balloon show or using a matchmaker. But no, I kind of changed that. It just depends on the person. I mean, everything depends on the person. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is in most cases. Every idea, damn near every environment, everything is really dependent on the person. Everything depends on the person. You know, even a bad idea with the right person might not be so bad. I've seen that happen too. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. It just depends. But in this case, when it comes to pop the balloon, show and CJ Too Cold, I think it's a good idea for it'll be a good idea for you to go on there. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you really want to do. Now, it takes a lot to go on, stand in front of people and get matched like that. And plus you're on camera. And I don't know how long, I can only imagine how long it takes them to shoot and what time you got to show up. You know what I'm saying? Now, in most cases, the videos tend to be 2 to 3 hours long. Well, no, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours, sometimes it's almost 3 hours. So if that's so let's look at it like this. If I have an hour video that I'm uploading online, more than likely they probably were in that venue probably 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5 hours. I'd say 3 to 5 hours. But they're only really recording after they're done edited and everything. It probably come down to like an hour. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it's a 2-hour video, more than likely they probably in there for at least 6 hours, 7 hours. You know what I'm saying? If it's a 3-hour video, they in there for 8 hours. That's like a work day, basically. You know what I'm saying? That's like a work day, 8 hours. So that means, and plus, check this out. On the show, they show behind the scenes coverage as well. So not only are they showing when people are matching with the balloons and everything and talking and having conversation, they also go out and see CJ Too Cold also goes out in the crowd and talks to people and interacts with people and asks them questions and what they think about the show and how's everything going and where they're from and everything like that. So that's interesting. It's unique. In most cases, what I've seen on most of these shows is most of the hosts don't want to interact with the crowd at all because there's a fear of they're afraid of what the people might say in the crowd. You know what I'm saying? But being that CJ Too Cold is a rapper, he has a unique skill set. He has an advantage versus most hosts. Most hosts probably have never interacted with anybody in the crowd. More than likely, they haven't. You know what I'm saying? But being that he's a rapper, he's used to it, so he has an advantage. That makes him that gives him the unfair advantage, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So not only is he interacting with the people that come on there to match with other men and women, he's interacting with people in the audience as well. So that takes a different skill set. You know what I'm saying? That's a different skill set. And most hosts, if you look at a lot of these shows, whether it's on TV or online, most of these hosts do not want to interact with people in the audience. They're afraid of what people in the audience might say, and they might not know how to respond. That's what that really comes down to. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it's a good show at the end of the day. If they come to your town, I would highly recommend you jump on the show and get on the show if you can and try to match with somebody, because you never know. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. You just never know. Someone might show up on that set. Some man or some woman might show up on that set that you probably never seen before in your town or in your city. Or you might never have the opportunity to meet in your town and your city. You just never know. You know what I'm saying? There's more than one way to meet people. I say this all the time. I meet people everywhere. I meet people out in public. I meet people online. I meet people at the airport. I meet people overseas. I meet people everywhere. What I'm saying? There's no one way to do anything. At the end, that's the point I'm trying to make. You got to do what works for you, work best for you at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So what I recommend you get on the Pop the Balloon show and try to match with somebody, 1000%. Yes. You should try it. You know what I'm saying? And if it doesn't work out the first time, try again if you get the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? You just never know, man. I've seen the most strange things happen. I'm telling you. But hey, I didn't want to come on that long. I know it's Father's Day. I know people out and about doing their thing, spending time with their loved ones. You know what I'm saying? All I ask is that you share this video and hey, maybe and leave me a comment below and tell me about what you thought about what I said in this video. You know what I'm saying? That's really all I had to say. I didn't necessarily want to talk to nobody at all, really. You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect a whole lot of people to show up either. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm not on my cell phone doing this, because I didn't want to interact with nobody today. I just wanted to come on my computer, and do this real quick. And my computer is actually working now. It's back to, it's working now, So you still see me on my cell phone every once in a while, but I'll be back on my computer as usual. You know what I'm saying? But hey, share this episode. Don't forget to check out my best-selling book, Love at First Click, on Amazon.com. It's been a bestseller. You know what I'm saying? So until next time, I'm out.